manuscript, Nothing More Dangerous, I knew wasn't ready. But The Life We Bury, okay, I'm going to share a secret with you. I'm not a very good reader. I haven't read a lot of books in my life, not before I became a writer. I came to this because I wanted to write stories and tell stories. But I've always had trouble reading books. And so when I finished that book, I took it to some friends who read a lot of books and said, can you read this and tell me if this is a novel? And they read it and came back to me and said, yes, this is not only a novel, but it's a very good one. And so I thought, okay, I'll try and get it published then. But really, I wasn't sure. And even, because I don't read a lot of books, The Life We Bury doesn't fit into an easy mold. And that was one of the reasons why I was being rejected by agents. One of the agents said, we just don't know where we'd put it in a bookstore. I mean, it's kind of a mystery. It's kind of a coming-of-age story. It's kind of a literary novel. It's kind of a thriller. And it just doesn't, you don't have the comparables. You don't have the, if you like this guy, you'll like this book. And I thought that's what you're supposed to do, is write something original, but apparently not. And so, yeah, I was rejected by 150 agents, but then an agent who actually, she was a brand new intern. This agency hired her to come in and as an intern. She took over the place of an intern who had rejected me, and he didn't take my book off the screen, off the computer. So she sits down at his computer. There's my manuscript. She reads it. She likes it. And she became my agent. So I honestly didn't know it was a book until she said, yes, it's a book.
How great is the pressure to write the book that someone else thinks you should write?
For me, none at all. I have carved out this wonderful path where, because I wrote Nothing More Dangerous, put it aside, then wrote The Life We Bury, was getting rejected, then wrote my third manuscript before my first contract was signed. I had 3 books already written that they weren't a series. They intermingled because they were about the same community of characters, but I had these 3 books, and I wasn't going to write something outside of what I wanted to write. So you don't normally do that. Normally, your publisher, and my publisher did come to me and say, we'd like you to write a series about Joe Talbert. I said, but Joe Talbert's a college student. Yeah, but we want you to write a series about him because it's doing so well. I said, but it's not a series. It's a character arc. And we had this entire lunch where she said nothing but, we want you to do a series, and I said nothing but, I'm not going to. And at the end, they can't make me write something. So I write the books that I want to read. That's something that Toni Morrison had said once, is write the book you want to read. And so I've been writing the books that I want to read, and I've never had an editor or publisher say, we want you to write something else, because I'll just walk away. I have enough naivete that I'll just say, no, I'm going to write what I want to write. And so far it's worked. But I know that some other authors have felt pressure to keep writing a series even beyond when they are, they think they're done with a series. Or that's really the big one, is to just try to keep writing in a series. Because I don't write in a series, I don't get that issue. Any other questions? Yes. Oh, we got to wait for you.
So how do you feel when you finish a book? Do you sort of grieve that you're done with your relationship with this manuscript that you've been working on? And then are you already moving ahead in your head to something else you can't wait to get on paper?
The publishing industry makes it easy not to grieve. Because I finished this book and I think this is beautiful, it's perfect. I send it to my editor, and my editor comes back and says, oh, you got to make some changes here. And if I agree, I make the changes, then I give it to my editor. Well, let's a couple more changes. Okay, fine, here we go. And now here's the manuscript, we're done. Well, no, we got to copy edit now. It's like, I hate copy editing, so I copy edit the thing, then I give it back, and nope, one more go around, we got to proofread it. And so by the time I'm proofreading it, I'm already writing my next novel. It's like, for God's sake, just let me go write, Yeah, so when I first finish it, it's like I'm so thrilled. I love this book. I don't want to write anything else. By the time I get to that final proofread, I just want to put it on a shelf and go and move on. Just because I so hate copy editing. I really do. I'm very bad at it. I have a cadre of friends who actually will help me with it because it's like detasseling corn. Let me explain. When I was at University of Iowa, one summer I got a job detasseling corn. And they said, okay, see these 6 rows? You got to make sure that 98% of the tassels are gone. I said, well, that sounds easy enough. I start going down, plucking tassels. And I get done, I say, okay, pay me my money. And they go, no. You missed 50% of them. I say, no, I didn't. So I go back down, here's all these tassels. It's like, where'd they come from? So I pull out the tassels again. And then I say, give me my money. I said, no, you're not at 98%. I said, how can I not be 8? I keep going down those rows and pulling tassels, and so I never detasseled corn again. But that's what editing is like. It's like, I've read this thing 40 times. How can there be a comma out of place? Oh, not only is there a comma out of place, but I spelled compliment with an I when it should be spelled with an E. Holy cow. And so there's, I hate copy editing, but it's part of the job. Any other questions?
Well, I have one. I don't know if this is proper protocol or not, but I'm assuming Lila is your first book with a female protagonist.
It is.
Are you finding challenges in writing from that point of view?
I am scared to write from that point of view. I am, because I have seen so many male authors screw it up. And if you screw it up, you are held accountable. I'm right now on a steady diet of reading female authors writing female protagonists to make sure that I try and understand how to write a good female protagonist. Every now and again, I'll throw in a male author to compare. And I'm seeing real stark differences. And I don't want to make that mistake. I do not want to make my female protagonist stupid. I do not want to make her male hungry. I do not want to make her a man who just happens to have a woman's name and genitalia. I do not want to make her someone who needs to be saved by a man. So there's all these things that I want to avoid. That I get so nervous. It's like, I don't want to do that wrong. So I have been planning this for some time, and I've been working on it. So hopefully it works out. I do have a woman agent, and I have a woman as a editor. And that should help me. I'm going to ask them to be very strict on me and not let me get by with anything that I shouldn't be getting by with.
Oh, good. We do have some more. Oh, we have one here that'll come back up there.
I'm just interested because I started out in journalism too. And I discovered in journalism, you can know a lot about doing the things. You can write your journalism, but you know nothing about the business end of journalism. Is that true in writing too, or are you able to stay out of the business end of it?
You can't stay out of the business end of it very much. But I am still confused by it. I have a publicist and I have a marketing director. And to this day, I cannot tell you what one does and what the other one does. I send the emails to both and then let them decide who's going to answer the email and do the task. Because I honestly don't know how they break things down. I'm constantly learning new things about how the business works. I really want to, I don't want to say avoid learning that stuff, but because I come to writing as I just love writing, I kind of want to say, just you take care of that and I'll just write. But no, it doesn't work that way. I'm constantly doing stuff that I'm working with the promotions and the publicity, and I'm writing articles for magazines right now that will come out when the book comes out, blog posts, that kind of thing. So I'm doing that. So I'm not writing a book right now. I probably will not get back to writing a novel until January 1st. Between now and then, I'm just going to keep doing the stuff I need to do to promote this next book. when that's done, I'll sit down and go back to what I enjoy, which is the writing part. But yeah, there's a strong business side of it that I'd like to say I wish I knew better, but I really don't. I don't want to know better. I want someone else to handle it for me.
I'm just curious how you came up with the ending, if that was something from something you read or heard about, or was it something because you had some background in, being an attorney, or was it completely something you
The Life We
developed?
Buried?
Yes.
The ending in terms of the need, the challenge to exonerate Carl, or is that the ending, or which ending? There's different plot lines end differently, so.
I'm thinking the part where he has to drive his car out to save his girlfriend and just all the awful things. How did you come up with that scenario?
That's just my daydreaming. I had to isolate them. So, and in the Twin Cities, it doesn't take long to go from being on campus to being at an abandoned barn in the countryside. So I needed to isolate them. I needed to set it up so that Joe had to be ingenious again in terms of what he can do to try and save the day, even though he doesn't really save the day. What he does is sets it in motion, but he's not actually the hero. His big contribution to the book is really just surviving. So he stumbles through it. But yeah, that was just my imagination, just me. I'm a big sketchbook. I outline in a sketchbook, and I come up with an idea and I run it to the end. It's like, do I like that? Let's try another idea. Something that theater taught me, which is your first idea, second idea are probably ideas that other people came up with. When you get to that fourth, fifth, sixth level, now you're getting into the creativity. And the way it teaches you this is like improv classes. Teacher will put a chair in the middle of the stage and line the actors up on the side and say, okay, everybody go out and use that chair as a prop. And if you're in the front of the line, it's great. I'm in school. Here we go. If you're in the back of the line, you're going, oh, crap. Okay. By the time I get there, will anybody have used it as a toilet? Maybe, maybe not. So you're trying to come up with the really, the more original ideas come way deep in the line. So that's something that I learned in theater that I've applied as a writer.
Any more questions? Oh, good.
So you were in my class this afternoon, and I've not taught a book where the students bring their copies to the author interview and then line up around the room to get them signed. And then some of them saying, I gave up. I'm really behind on homework because I stayed up all weekend to make sure that I finished it. A week in advance of when we were going to talk about it. So the way that it seems to catch a young audience, what's that been like in terms of just interacting with that audience? Are there any stories or experiences that have come out of meeting those readers? I mean, some of us would middle-aged and then older, we like to read, but what's it like to interact with an audience that everyone says these people don't read, they don't care?
That's actually been one of the surprises of this, and I think it comes from the fact that I myself am not a very good reader. I am easily distracted from a book, so when I get into Act 2 of a book, if it doesn't hold my attention, I close it and move on. And so when I'm writing my books, I have the standard character arc of the 3-act structure. The character is status quo at the beginning of the novel. Something happens to set them on a journey. That journey has an ascending level of conflict and tension. There's a climax, then the denouement. And what I do is I have that. Then I have a second plot, which is the personal plot, and I do the same thing. Then I have subplots, and I have my subplots breaking, so they come to fruition. So a subplot won't last the whole novel. It'll come to fruition somewhere in that second act. So the reader is feeling this sense of fulfillment, even though they haven't got to the end of the story where the real climax comes in. And so because I am a poor reader myself, I design my books in a way that I hope will make people want to read them. One of the coolest things I had happen when The Life of Barry came out. There was a teacher in New Jersey who posted on a teacher's blog the top 10 books for adolescent boys who say they don't like to read. And The Life of Barry was on that list. And that teacher and I actually am corresponding with her because she's helped me write a teacher's manual for the new book. But she said that, young boys who don't like to read, they come in and say, I read this book, it's really, really good. And that is a surprising but wonderful thing because, like I said, I was not a good reader myself. So if I can get some kid who's not a very good reader to read and enjoy a book and maybe open a door for them, that's wonderful. If there are no more questions, I want to thank you all for coming out. This has been a blast. I have a few books over there for sale. They're $15. I don't do this to sell books, but I always bring books because some people want to have books that are signed by authors. I apologize for not having more than I do, but if you have books that you've brought of your own, I'd be more than happy to sign. If you want to take a selfie with me, I'm not Stephen King, so I'm good with that. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Alan. And thank you all for coming.